Well then, shall we begin? Welcome back. You may notice that this is a bit later than usual. I had certain obligations to fulfill, but now I am once more free as the moth upon the wood. So let us continue. Where were we? If memory serves correctly, yes, we were about to embark upon our first expedition in the evening isles near Port Noon, where the long yet walk. Unfortunately, it was not the wreck of the St. Christabel, which was the place we were hoping for, but maybe we'll get more lucky next time. Let's see here. Where are our appetites? Currently being quelled. Good, good. Let us speed things up a little. Some funds to sustain us. Oh yeah, we are running quite a bit low on those. Oh well. Let us repair this cracked wildering mirror. There's sometimes something left over which must be buried again, but one can be efficient. Our appetites are quelled. The cool wind that blew when the sun was red and low, the voice the waves once used, the shapes that loped beside us in the snow, all crushed behind the flat glass of time. I must revisit what was lost, though the taste of it be ripe and strange. And we have indeed tasted something joyful, which might come in quite handy to defeat this dread. Though, in the meantime, let us read. Where has she gone? The Speeth, perhaps a single adept, perhaps a council of scholars, hypothesizes secret events from limited evidence with persuasive accuracy. The vagabond is recorded to have traveled not only the manses and the wood, not only all 9 continents, but also places forbidden to other hours. And, as she boasts all of the histories, she alone. Let's also see what this expedition has in store for us. Expedition to Fort Garrick. 300 years ago, a rapacious empire claimed an island ripe with tourmalines. Neither the empire nor the island are mentioned in any reputable history, but the governor's fortress remains. Perhaps his treasures remain. For that matter, perhaps he does, too. We have the fretful dead. Not all the dead rest easy. These ones dislike our intrusion. We can prevail against them with edge, or they may obey one who comes in the name of winter. We have a warded door. An engineer or an adept has ensured this door will not open easily. Forge or knock will defeat it. We have a western sea. Most of these islands are well known to the histories, but our destination lies in wild, uncharted reaches. We'll need heart or forge to survive. So, ideally, we should supply heart, I think. For forge, will be required to repair this wildering mirror. Now we've timed it right to use up this restlessness by painting. And let's also send Leo here. We call upon the sister and witch, who cannot be touched. Storms rise for the Thunderskin and subside for the sister. The right words should carry us safe across the sea. Leo still yearns to preserve what is good and valuable, but he understands that to protect one's ideals, one must sometimes do questionable things. Right, sadly no contentment from that, but oh well. Our mind is cleared, and I think we should use this to generate some contentment at the earliest opportunity. And let us also approach the peacock door. From our gossip and invisible lore, Spieth deduces that the vagabond has visited nowhere, but that she will not return. He also asserts that she has yet to visit the glory, but that inevitably this must be her goal. Vagabond's map. The vagabond is the 1 hour who can never enter the mansis, but she goes everywhere else. And, if you believe her boasts, she's the only one who knows all the histories. Sometimes she lets someone record her travels. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the Lone and Level Sands, far from here. But the Lone and Level Sands are not what we're after. We seek to uncover another location in the Evening Isles, near Port Noon. But for that, we will need some erudition. Which we can attain by fulfilling one of these commissions. The mirror is repaired. It shines again as it did once before. A multiplicity of vistas, a bewilderment of views, gaze upon me and rejoice in the dissolution of your senses. This is a mirror. Crack light's skin and light will bleed. Just what we need to pass the peacock's door. The peacock's door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the peacock's door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. But let's talk to Miss Nenya next. A painting of a dark-skinned woman with snow-colored eyes and close-cropped ivory-colored hair. She stands before a small marble tomb overgrown with star jasmine. The painting is signed Jonas B. Munch, 1811. Share a joyful memory with Miss Nenya. Miss Nenya's eyes are warm. Right, we've used something profitable to gain more funds, but now let's turn our attention to fulfilling a commission for the erudition we need. Safe across the sea, wave lashed and sea spattered, sun scorched and salt stained, but here. Right, next we'll need I suppose that was a mistake on my part. We'll need forge anyways. Oh well. Miss Nenya says nothing, but my heart pounds like a hammered anvil even after I leave the gallery. Alright, so that did not give us what we were hoping for, which was some contentment. But pounding airs, well, it's not really that useful to us, but oh well. The heart moves, the world moves, a 10th order influence, a gathering knot of power and peril. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. Right, and our hunger increases. Graveyard mouth. Now that I've tasted the graveyard fruit, the hunger comes often to trouble me. My mouth waters at the fragrances of decay, and my belly growls like a dog. Reduce this by feeding on remnants. Do not ever permit it to reach 7. The game may end, and not pleasantly. So we have no intention of allowing that to happen. But in the meanwhile, let's read this. The Larcarbine Codex. Christoph Larcarbus claimed to have purchased 2 handwritten copies of the Codex in the supposedly extinct Phrygian tongue from a family of witches on the shores of the Sea of Marmara. A third was given to the sea. Interesting. Alright, Worm Museum, right at church. I think our odds are better at the Worm Museum, so let's gamble. Perfect frost. Not what we wanted, but oh well. Last night I visited the Worm Museum, which is both within the manses, for security, and without, for safety. The hours have charged the colonel with its defense, and even the lionsmith does not challenge him here. Winter is the chiefest aspect of this place. The worms thrive where things end, but they can also be ended, and they must, if the manses is to endure. This morning, the chilly certainty of the colonel's hand still lies on my shoulder. Perfect frost. The world is still as ice. Each movement is a journey. A 15th order influence. This might be the personal attention of an hour. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. If unused, it will become dread. Bit more dread to add to the pile, though we have quite a bit of time until that happens. The mirror is once again cracked, so we'll have to repair it in time. But first, I think... let us gain another commission from Count Jannings. Count Gottlob Jannings represents a continental confraternity of physicians and duelists. He could use your assistance. The good Count's fraternity in Europe is seeking particular research. Here's what he needs. A commission on Edge. The Count will pay for information of interest. This time he'd like whatever we can assemble on the practices of Edge. We have 20 winter against the dead here, which should be quite enough, but you never know. Right, some contentment. To clear our mind with. A finished manuscript to hand in to Dr. Ibn al-Adim. Dr. Ibn al-Adim, called the Alpine, has an interest in overlooked history. He has offered us a commission. I have what the doctor requested. Right, some currency, but the main thing we were after is this erudition. Speaking of which, let us fulfill this commission to gain some glimmering as well. And let us get Vasiane to repair the mirror once again. The wary dead. The dead draw back, their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. Now, let's begin our deepening of secret histories. Study the histories. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. Now, let's see here. The sun still moves, the wind still walks. My journals are the labyrinth clue. That would be one dread dealt with. Now, let's visit the peacock door again. The way to the peacock's door. In my dreams I know the path through the glass garden to the peacock's door, the most admirable of doors, the door which shines like a mirror. Perhaps, with the right resources, I can pass it. A commission there fulfilled. And let's, yes, let's paint. I have a feeling we're going to need more contentment. Oh, I forgot to add funds. Oh my god. Oh, that is, unfortunate. Not my brightest hour. But we can always try again. More dread to trouble us. There we supply the erudition, and next we'll need some glimmering. And the mirror to open the peacock's door. And the Worm Museum has what we wanted. The peacock door unsealed. Size in the Mansis is negotiable, and so last night in the Worm Museum I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, caged next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In dreams they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. The walls bear stories from the First and Second Worm Wars. The third is too recent to have passed into the histories. And we get another Vagabond's map. But the mirror is once again cracked. So instead of revisiting the peacock door, let's dream of an early night. With luck I'll wake refreshed. Sometimes this will provide contentment. Often it will do nothing. Occasionally it will create dread or fascination. Not the most elegant way to gain contentment, but a pretty low-risk one. Or low commitment, at least. Meanwhile, let's get a new commission from Dr. Ibn Aladdin. And let's also... paint some more, but this time we'll use our actual skill and some mystique. I really need to pay closer attention to this tile, so I'll move it a bit here, in the vain hope that this will help. Intuition, the glimmering. Now, let's see. Safe across the sea. Ah, very nice. Now, I need not forget to actually add a piece of funds next time. Ah, bleak thoughts. Dark days. I must be careful not to let doubts creep in. And so, our dread will provoke despair. But we have gained some contentment, so that should take care of that. Let's now paint some more with the one passion we have left over. One more funds at least. And let's see, let's also get Valsiana here to once again repair the mirror. We have plenty of silver spintry. So right, Ivory Dove against the dead, more than enough. We need to also remember to recruit some of these new acquaintances to gain at least 2 disciples in every category. Should we paint again or fulfill a commission? A commission, why not? It might be a bit of a waste to use silver spintria for this, but I mean, we have them to spare. The mirror is repaired, so let us revisit the peacock door. Let us also hand in this commission. We call upon the Forge of Days, who will end all nights. Will almost certainly shatter this warded door. Let's see, how many? We have only 1 Vagabond's map thus far, but we also have a new Port Noon anecdote to explore as soon as this expedition is concluded. Port Noon is where the long go to enjoy the sea and the sun, to drink from the spring that makes them forgotten, and to stay out of trouble. Mostly out of trouble. The stories you can hear in Hotel 𝐼𝐯𝐶𝐸 are golden-dewed, quintuple distilled toasts to memory, served straight up. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the evening isles, where Port Noon is located across the great ocean. So now, let's see here. We could paint again. In fact, yes, I think that's what we'll do. Quick and easy way to access some more funds. And let's read the Lacarbine Codex. The sister and witch came from the west, where they were born in 2 wombs. One a princess, one a monster. Nevertheless, they loved each other from birth, and met in secret to seek union. Interesting, so their combination, their unison was a deliberate choice by them. I always wondered how that happened, but I'm not sure if there are any books that detail the revelations of that particular secret. The death of a door. All doors must open, as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. No, we've also grown sick, but... sadly this vitality won't do us any good against that. It's about to expire. Now, do we take this unresolved ambiguity, or are we risky? I think just for once, we'll take it. Last night I opened the peacock door, and beyond it in the bright spaces of the house I met a pilgrim adept. I am almost ready, they said, to pass to the summit of the house, to prepare for the final ascent. Perhaps you'll join me. I will need allies to fight for my place. Here is a story to help you rise. An unresolved ambiguity. In the Mansus, the hours strive one against another. As the struggles are resolved, they iron out the impossible, exalt the possible, tie the fraying braids of what has been into one golden ribbon of future. Everything is resolved. History becomes the past. There are, however, exceptions. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the Rending Mountains, 3,000 miles away among the wreck of the oldest empires. We've already amassed a collection of those. And let's actually sort our collection a little bit. Because, well, we're not really using all this space here. Treasures lie before us, finally. More contentment, which... well, we could use right away, but this dread will decay anyways, so there's not much of a point. Let's get a new commission, and let's also work on this one. By the Good Doctor. Secret histories, of which we have plenty. The Lacquerbind Codex. When the great drought came, the kings of that land tried to sacrifice the princess and the witch, so they sailed across the sea. When despair took them, they flung themselves into the drowning waters, and so found the Painted River, where they entered the manses through the offices of the Red Grail. Nevertheless, the Codex ends with the condemnation of the Grail. Interesting. So... they fled to avoid sacrifice, then tried to drown themselves in the ocean, but there found the Painted River, which they then used to enter the Mansus, with the help of the Red Grail, who then later went on to betray them, I think, which led then to the creation of the Thunderskin. And we gain a walking chant. Who could hear this and remain unmoved? The sleeping? The dead? The earth and the sky? Use this in a rite with a Byzantine tinct and a meteoric bullet, or other resources of equal power, to summon a percussigant. Now, what to read next? I think we could free up our Sanskrit slot a little, so let's read the Encircling Tantra. The explorer and entrepreneur T. Everett Duplantis once attempted to plunder the temple where this text was held. His fate is recorded in an appendix. A new commission from Meme Bichette. Meme Olympe Bichette edits the Kerisham Review, which publishes material too ghastly or thrilling for other literary magazines. She has offered us a commission. The governor's last move. The vault of Fort Garrick. A mosaic has been laid out as a game board of stupendous size and complexity, a map of the Evening Isles. The sea tiles are lapis, the islands are nephrite and obsidian. There are toy ships and tin soldiers. The Isle of St. Thomas is sieged. Raven Isle is crowded with black chess queens. So, Raven Isle is, of course, where the Sukoyans live, so I think that those are the black chess queens in question. So now that the expedition is concluded, let's put this back where it belongs. The hunger that grows in dark earth, the taste, the particular taste, the taste which is neither fair nor foul, it comes to trouble my mouth again. My tongue will swell, my lips will blacken. The elixir has set its spores within me, and only dead flesh can quell them. Among the game pieces, items of true power have been used as temporary markers. Was this an attempt to hide them? Or did the governor know nothing of their real worth? We have gained a vial of the true blood of Saint Januarius. The Thunderskin protected the one they called Januarius against perils from every past. To this day his blood keeps dancing. Oh, this is a remnant. We can feast upon it. Interestingly, the carcass spark isn't. A remnant of a greater radiance glowing softly as decay. Just possibly a mote of the divided sun, very strong in forge. Though we can't really use it to summon forth King Crucible since, you know, we have eaten him. I've consumed the traces that Crucible left in the world. At the very least he will be offended. He might be enraged. I should not summon him again. My deeds, my powers, my achievements, and the injustices perpetrated against me in Fuchin. The time of division in which Amira Zara prophesies the events later known as the Intercalate, when the hour called Sun in Splendor will be divided. Or, in our time now, has been divided. The Intercalate is quite a bit of time in the past now, so this must be a very old book indeed. De Bellis Murorum, right, that isn't new, we've just sequestered it up there because it isn't really that useful, or valuable at the very least. So now let's explore our Port Noon anecdote. Across a bright far sea, Port Noon lies. Exiles, monsters, and visionaries have long favored the waters around it. Perhaps we shouldn't get too close, but it might be useful to get close enough. Right, and let's also use this Maid in the Mirror to summon another one. What is our appetite doing? It's not that fierce yet, so I think we can afford to send out a new expedition right away. The Encircling Tantra. The Encircling Tantra speaks of the Serpent Gate, that hungry portal sometimes known as the Spider's Door, which is sacred to the Mother of Ants, through which the Great Hooded Princes pass. The Great Hooded Princes were not the Shadowless Kings. That was someone else. The Shadowless Kings were the Persians. The Great Hooded Princes were, I think, from Asia? I'm not entirely sure, though. Or no, were the Great Hooded Princes from England? I always forget. Right. On her commission we're currently working, so... Actually, now, let's use this opportunity to recruit some more followers. Like Enid here. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. It may be that you've dreamed the same dreams. This one is ready. A new member into our organization. Our sickness is healed. No. We pray to the hours that this will be the wreck. Ah, Raven Isle. Oh well. This place merits closer investigation. Raven Isle. An extinct volcano lifts its head from a fervid tangle of emerald jungle. Immortals fallen to the vilest crime of their kind are exiled here to roost, guzzling the blood and cracking the bones of unwary travelers. They must have acquired some interesting toys over the years. Yes, the place where the Sukoyans live. Or, well, most of them. We'll send... Let's see. This Mirror Maid. Clavette here. And of course the funds. The chiefest peril of Raven Isles is the Sukoyans. I actually pronounced that correctly the first time. Who would have guessed? The fallen immortals. But the way there across the sea will be hard, and the isle is full of voices which carry the curse of visions. Right, so visions I think Heart can protect us against. I will speak only and exactly 9 words. The novice will speak none at all. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. She sees things that others don't. How much winter do we have? Oh, not that much, but I think it should be enough to create disciples. Without any other additional aspect. Now, shall we repair the mirror once more? I don't see why not. Right, because we also need one more Vagabond's map. We could also create it from these 2 unresolved ambiguities, but it would be easier to attain one right away from the Peacock Door. Let's see. Commissions or art? We have this notoriety, might as well use it, right? I'll paint them into our world, and perhaps they'll stay a little longer. The Suppression Bureau will likely take an interest. An unusual portrait. I'm curious, will this actually reset the timer here? The encircling tantra. The tantra includes an invocation, but cautions helpfully that the invocation is of insufficient power to reach the serpent gate from the hunter's gate. A road which has no destination is itself a destination, it adds helpfully. Or perhaps not so helpfully. Well, suppose it's up for debate. But now let's read some of these more extreme works, shall we say, like my deeds, my powers, my achievements, and the injustices perpetrated against me. I think this will give us the highest order of Forge lore. One second, Colors of the Night. I will have to wait a little longer for now, I think, yes. Right, so what do we have here? A western sea, most of these islands, right, we've already read that. The fifth eye curse. We'll need heart or winter to suppress this curse. Otherwise it will not keep us from our goal, but it may trouble us later. And the Sukoyans. One might mistake them for old women, until they discard their skins. The place is aswarm with them. They are strong as strangling roots, and at least half long. But they can be deceived, and they are very wary of light. So let's firstly send Leo here to get us enough heart to get across the Western Sea. Then for the Sukoyans we'll quickly need to add, I think, 2 disciples in Moth. Good work, good. We call upon the sister and witch who cannot be touched. Storm rise for the Thunderskin and subside for the sister. The right words should carry us safe across the sea. So the sister, if this is correct, was a princess. Alright, so this doesn't actually prolong the life of the summoning. But it does give us quite a bit of funds, though it also gives us notoriety additional. My deeds, my powers, my achievements, and the injustices perpetrated against me. Hogobald of Poxind, formerly of the Order of Immortals called by some the House of Leith, settles scores. Hogwald boasts of his royal descent and insists that the magics of the forge are more effective when practiced by those of noble blood. We'll see about that. Safe across the sea, nice. So now we'll quickly have to add moth followers to deceive the 𝐶𝐞𝐬. Mirror is repaired just in time for our entrance to the peacock store. Ah, perfect frost. Not what we needed, but oh well. Do we repair it right away is the question. No, first let's get a new commission. And now I think would be the time to do so. The mirror. Funds, though not that much. Oh, damn it. Right, the expedition continues, so now quickly let us add moth followers to deceive the 𝐶𝐞𝐬. Boxin complains of his condemnation by the Ordo Limiae. He acknowledges that he has undergone alterations after the consummation of that particular delight, but insists that these changes are both elegant and inevitable. Who is the fire and who is the fuel? He asks rhetorically. Interesting. I wonder what he's talking about. It could be the crime of the sky, but there are many other possibilities also. Furnace Paean. Furnace Paean. This is the hymn the heat sings to the iron. If we imitate it faithfully enough, we will parch our lips and crisp our tongue. But oh, the rewards! Use this rite with a consecrated lintel and a little refulgin or other resources of equal power to summon King Crucible, or perhaps better not, seeing as how he will most likely still harbor a grudge after we've, well, feasted upon his remnants. He'll probably not forgive that too soon, but we can make use of others in the meanwhile. Alright. We call upon the moth who beats in the skull. We should have enough power to deceive and dismay these night-winged thirsty ones. We call upon the moth who seeks among the trees of the wood. The moth has power in this close, crowded forest night. We will pass secretly and safely, unless we are very unlucky. So let's hope the 𝐶𝐞𝐬 don't dig their nails into us. Oh, we also have more than enough winter for this 5th eye curse. Good. And let's get right back into the peacock store. And let's also translate... No, not the deeds of the scarred captain, the time of the division. Because I know that will give us highest order lantern lore and a particular rite. One we probably shouldn't use unless we are very desperate or very sure of what we're doing. Or maybe a bit of both. Right, that's quite a bit of notoriety now, so Why not use all of it to paint? We need to get those funds back up at the earliest convenience. The Suqueans hunger. They're on us! With a leathery crack of wings and a body is borne shrieking up into the dark. Damn it, that could end quite badly. So do they have wings? Perils of renown. The mirror is repaired just in time for another visit. Let's get ourselves a fourth and final commission. From 𝐼𝐯𝐸. An amiable woman of property, she has offered us a commission. Now, who's... Luckily though, it seems no one got wounded. Ah, another vagabond's map. So now we'll have all we need to get another Port Noon anecdote. And with a little luck, a 50-50 chance to be exact, it'll be finally that much sought after wreck of the St. Christabel. The time of division. Let's read this before we get another Port Noon anecdote. The sun will be divided, that it might not sire children. Still its children shall be 4 in number, and its children shall be 7 in number, and its children shall also be numberless. The numberless shall open the way for the 7, and the 7 shall consume the 4. Huh. 7 shall consume the 4. Could the 4 be... The 4 could be the gods from stone. The numberless might be the worms, since they festered in the corpse of the sun. I'm not sure. And the 4 are probably the watchmen, the wolf divided, the madrugad, and the... Wait, no, there is more. The madrugad, the watchman, the meniscate, and the sun in rags. That might be the 4. Though the wolf divided is also a child of the sun, which would bring it to 5. Unsure. Alright, where are we now in terms of hunger? 3. After this one is added, that is. But we do also have this blood, which will probably get us a new aspect to paint upon our pale canvas. I must go very carefully. The memories that I need to convey will take flight from the canvas if I depict them too strongly. I will find those memories in the flesh of the dead, and perhaps even, if I must, in my own dying flesh. Aspect the colors tidal. In a night blue mantis haze swims a coral palace crown. At its foredge it absorbs the lesser names, coating them with its minerals and juices, and at its rear edge it expels some of them, polished like jewels. The others go to feed its thorny tide heart. Aspect, the colors 7 coiled. On a bed of dunes beneath a red low sun, a monster wrestles itself while attendants crowd round its flanks. It is flabby and huge, the color of dirty sulfur. Fanged tentacle necks wrestle like kittens. It tears cheerfully at its own flesh, and the blood that flows is golden. It flops over in a cataclysm of wattled flesh, crushing a knot of attendants, and the others scream and cheer. Aspect, the colors of old fire. This is only a stone, though it is smoothed and sharpened to a midnight point. But look closer, Each of its facets shows a single point of light. It might be the glint of a firelight. It might be each a different star. And the colors that were: auroral rose vies with electric blue. There is neither night nor morning, but only the hours of noon, anticipated and lingering noon. We each of us open our hearts to the golden needle of the sky, all colors magnified beneath the sun in splendor. So this will probably give us another aspect, bringing them to 5. I don't know how many there are in total. We could paint some more, or... well, we do need the funds, but we can also sell silver spintre for that. Yeah, you know what, sure, let's paint some more. We call upon the moth, who seeks among the trees of the wood. And with a little luck, we'll surpass the sequence this time. The sequence frustration. Hurry from the shadow to deeper shadow, press faces into the spongy earth. They know we're here, but they don't know where. Their cries fade behind us. Alright, now all that's left is the curse. The time of division. Amira prophesies 4 great wars before the second dawn, when the sun in splendor shall rise again. She cautions, sunrise is blood, and I foretell now that the sun shall rise from blood, yet not the color of the blood, nor the hour of night. She includes a rite that she speculates will be necessary for the second dawn. Fascination, dread, illuminate mysteries. The Meniscate, the Madrugad, the Flower Maker, and the Forge of Days are the gods from light. There is a 5th, but we know it not. But we know it is not the Watchman. Alright, so actually the Meniscate, the Madrugad, the Flower Maker, and the Forge of Days are the 4 mentioned here. Its children shall be 4 in number. But then, if we include the Watchman and the Wolf Divided, it would be 7, but I don't know how the 7 would consume the 4 if the 7 include the 4, so I don't know. Yet the Watchman shares a secret doctrine with those 5, and here is that doctrine. Use this in a rite with a subtle rupture and a paradoxical curio, and someone will come, speak it to a hunter, and it might drive them insane on the spot. And the rite intercalate. This rite recapitulates the sun's abominable fate. It is used in extreme times by foolish adepts. Now, we are plenty foolish, but I don't think we should use this just yet. For it has carry a tremendous cost. Instead, let us first compose ourselves. Gather some of this about us. Add this here. This to the other rites. And I think let us now go about gaining another Port Noon anecdote. Hopefully finally the one we need. Or seek at least. More funds and also, importantly, some glimmering we'll need in a moment. We'll also have to contend with a bit of dread soon. But in the meantime, we could use these chilly atmospheres to gain some new acquaintances. Or followers, rather. Rhaenyra, an acquaintance. Rhaenyra has been found not guilty 3 times in 3 separate jurisdictions. She will likely never be found guilty of anything. Expedition continues, but it already has all it needs to hopefully overcome the final challenge. The 5th Eye Curse. Into the night, we should be able to use that erudition just in time. Rhaenyra, a believer, she continues to pursue her appetites discreetly, although her ambitions have grown. And let's also recruit Porter here. Porter was a barber until the court case. A barber, of course, meaning he will be strong in the aspects of moth, as all barbers are. Except for that one, I guess, who baked pies. But that was quite a while back. He most certainly also carried some edge with him. Though I suppose, in a sense, all barbers do. They need to cut the hair with something, after all. Knowledge, erudition. We also have glimmering for the intuition, and then the rarefied mind for the illumination requirement. We call upon the Ringu, who is renewed. We are strong enough in heart to be almost entirely secure against the curse. I wait with bated breath. The curse shrivels. Whew. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. We can hand in this commission to Miss Poppy here. And let's continue to paint. Certainly a bit of a stopgap, but we desperately need funds. Colors of the night. No, I don't think I'll waste any pigment on this. Intuition, the glimmering, here just in time. Curious habits. Has my adversary been practicing a musical instrument instead of pursuing the investigation? Flinging darts at a corkboard? Or just taking very long naps? Reports are inconsistent, but so is their behavior. They've made no progress. Spencer Hobson. Hobson has been a journalist, a private detective, and, rather briefly, a priest. Now he's an agent of the Suppression Bureau. It is very good that he's currently the one hunting us, as he is quite erratic. This hunter often fails to create evidence from notoriety. Conversely, they'll sometimes create evidence even when they can't find notoriety. But the latter is a rather rare occurrence, and, well, we almost always have notoriety for them to find, so even then, the odds of that happening are nigh impossible purely on that basis. If our approach were a more cautious one, he could be a thorn in our side, but right now he's actually more of an asset more than anything else, so we'll keep him around for now. Raven Feathers, a mountain cave befouled by Sukoyans. On the walls they have scrawled their sad histories in 100 languages in script of striking elegance. The creatures they were, the histories they owned, their children they mourn. Yes, for each Sukoyan has committed the crime of the sky, consumed their own infant as once Kronos did. Right, more painting. Or commission work. More painting, again, we do quite desperately need funds. So now, what will be our rewards? At the back of the cave, the Sukoyans have made a sort of museum nest. The fine clothes they wore once, adorned now with raven feathers. A little miscellany of cameo portraits and rotting family albums. A few items of power. A manual for departure. The origins of ours. 5 creations, and a chalice murmurous. On those nights when we drink from the chalice, we are not certain afterwards what we have done. But we may be assured it is what always has been done, and if we do not remember, our children will, in their redmost dreams. 12th aspect Grail. This we can use certainly to summon 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿 once more, should we have need of him. But now first, let's sell some things here. Like the August Stone, a tremendous bowl, big as a gong, carved from black basalt, bearing an incantation against demons in deep Mandaic. The underside bears the same incantation in Aramaic. If we speak Aramaic, we can use this to learn deep Mandaic. Though luckily we already speak it, meaning this has no real use to us outside of, well, selling it. And after that, I think we'll sell some of these silver spintria to pad our coffers a little. Ours know we'll need it. Right, let's also put these here. All of them VAC texts. All of them very, very powerful. Let's work on some more commissions. Our maid in the mirror is about to decay, but I think I can live with that. Get a new commission from Poppy. 8 funds, very good, very nice. And now let's also, yes, we should definitely get to quelling our appetite. Promising cemeteries. let's send 𝐿𝐸𝐫𝐿. Stealthy excavations by the soft light of a hooded lantern. We'll need 4 bodies. Let's hand these in, let's work on this. And as soon as we have our morsel, let's begin the feast. And in lockstep, let's also do this, so that we may have a new morsel to feast upon as soon as our last feast is concluded. This will be the second one, meaning after this one we'll have 2 more. There is sometimes something left over which must be buried again, but one can be efficient, and we gain also something joyful. Feast upon a remnant. Once again my appetites rise. My appetite rises, flecked once again with shivers of revulsion. Now, yes, let's once again get another one. This is the second one, so after this one, 1 more. We also, of course, have the blood of St. Januarius here, but I think I would rather feast upon this once we've already set out on an expedition. Because during that time of an expedition, we can of course not feast on anything else in the meanwhile. Let's speak about something joyful with Miss Nenya. Maybe we'll gain a contentment after all, against this despair. Something shameful. Not all private pleasures are suited for suitable for public discussion. I don't quite remember what happens if I talk about this with Miss Nenya. Suppose we'll find out. Feast of the Honeyed Dove. I can consume remnants to preserve a little of their knowledge from dust. I may yet have to. So now let's look west to the evening isles with a long, still walk. This has a 50 chance to be the wreck of the St. Christabel. If it is, that would be quite useful, because there we can find the Franiclave. I'm not quite sure of the name anymore, but what I am sure of is that it will allow us passage to the Peacock Door indefinitely, without any of that pesky breaking and repairing business we have to do with the mirrors. Miss Nenya says nothing, but all the way home there's a tune in my head that leaves me thinking of her. Alright, and something shameful. Today Miss Nenya's eyes are almost sly. Share a memory of a secret sin with Miss Nenya. I don't quite remember what this did. I think it wasn't anything too useful, but refreshing my memory on that account will be useful anyways. Another bit of something shameful. I mean, maybe this will give us something good after all, in which case we'll speak of it with Miss Nenya. Otherwise, we'll use it on our medium job. Which we could also use to generate some frightful profits if we overfed ourselves on Graveyard Remnant. But at the same time, doing so would mean occupying both the work, the study, and the exploration tile. So I don't think that's really an option. Miss Nenya says nothing, but her mouth curves slowly. I realize that I have never seen her part her lips, and we gain an urgency of appetite. It is difficult to control oneself. A sixth-order influence, significant resonances or correspondences, this can be used in some rites to summon minions. Generally odd that, her mouth curves, since, you know, she is, after all, a painting. Let's hand in this commission on winter. Right, this is kind of getting out of control. Way too much cards piling up here. Ah, contentment from other sources. Ah, finally, the wreck of the the Christabel. A sea beast came to love this vessel, but when she would not return its affections, the sea beast crushed it. Even now, the beast will not leave the ship's corpse. Bedecked as it is with occult treasures, we must dive carefully. Storms have lifted the Christabel from the sea to lay it on a reef. But a wreck with such a sad end will carry a curse, and the beast that once loved it remains there still. For both the reef and the curse, we have our heart followers. For the beast, we'll have to figure out something else. Oh, we still had one graveyard mouth over. No matter, I guess now it is time after all to feast upon the blood of Saint Januarius, bright upon my tongue like copper citrus. So that would give us a fifth aspect. Then there's also, as the painting, the canvas itself implies here, our own dying flesh, decrepitude, which could give us a sixth aspect. I wonder what others remain. Let's see. The Western Sea. A creeping breath curse. We need heart or grail to suppress this curse. Otherwise, it will not keep us from our goal, but it may trouble us later. And a younger sister. The mother of ants was born among serpents. She has very many younger sisters. It can be defeated in battle, or it will respond to the mother's power. So I think we'll send our knock followers. We finished a manuscript for the good count. I have a memory now of something that should never have ceased. And perhaps it has not. Endless memory. Oh, this one is really beautiful. Where is a wheel that only turns beneath the moon, where once it turned beneath the sun? But why only one? Why only two? So this is a memory of the wheel. So we have the tides, the waves, I don't remember that one's name. The seven coiled, the flint, the sun in splendor, and now the wheel. What others remain? The egg, perhaps? I think that was its name. That would bring us to 6. In the meanwhile, let us translate here. A manual for departure. The author, who identifies itself as the 𝐃𝐨𝐶, claims to be one of the great hooded princes of the land of the river. Okay, so the hooded princes, those weren't from those weren't the ones from England, they were the ones from India, I think. Right. The hooded princes, yes, who worshipped the colonel. One more lock follower, and after that some more funds. Do we want to paint right away? Sure. It might be ugly, but it is beautiful, like the withdrawing of blood from the labyrinths of glass. The colors that turn, with each turn its cilia pulse and wriggle, and its body flashes translucent to crimson. It might be ugly, but it is beautiful, like the withdrawing of blood from the labyrinth of glass. It does not cease, and all its involutions are infinite. The wheel. I didn't know the wheel was made of glass. Hold on, is this... Because the thunder skin, of course, is also a heart, in a way, pumping. And this also implies that the wheel was some sort of mechanism to pump blood. Maybe a more primitive one compared to like the kind that insects use? Not sure, because I do know there's some animals who have a more primitive organ than the heart of mammals, for example. A manual for departure. No, these doors shouldn't be recorded. But if we had only recorded things before we'd had to leave the fifth history, we would be in a much better state. So here I am writing it down, and if you don't like it, you can sanction me. Right, the hooded princes who fled their history, where they would have ended. From Poppy. Has some final bit of funds for the expedition. That should be, in case everything goes right, which it better, everything the expedition needs to succeed. colors that turn. A new aspect added to our canvas. It's getting quite crowded here. All right. We call upon the Mother of Ants, which encircleth. The serpent is long enough to coil around a cottage. Its fangs glisten like ice. Probably it will respect the power we bear. Just probably? Oh, of course. A need is only a believer. Oh. That was a dumb mistake on my part. Let's hope it will be successful nonetheless. There is, I think, still a 70% chance, so fingers crossed and breaths bated. Oh, welcome, Earl of Rats. Didn't see you there. We have just now completed a new aspect upon our canvas. The colors that turn, the wheel, is now there, and I am beginning to wonder how many more there are. Of course, I know one of these aspects are probably gained by consuming innocence ourselves via decrepitude. But that would bring us to 6. I wonder how many there are in total. Because there are, of course, also quite a few expeditions we haven't embarked upon yet. The manual for departure lists a number of strategies: occult, martial, and political, for quick escapes. Many are irrelevant, obsolete, or enigmatic, but the manual does include a number of powerful techniques for opening portals. Dread and the mysteries of opening. The Mother of Ants is the child of 2 rivers. The Horned Axe is the last god from stone. The Menascate was born in the moon from light. The Wound and the Threshold and the Revelation are all the gate's aspects, and here is their secret doctrine. Right, so we also have quite a bit of other powerful books here to read, like The Origin of Hours. A vague work that may contain gossip about the various origins of the secret gods. Which should give us, I don't know how they're called again, but the highest tier of moth aspect lore. Also, we've, in other news, finally found the wreck of the Christabel, which will give us, finally, the Frankiglaive? I don't quite remember the name, but the tool, the key, that will allow us to pass freely through the Peacock's door. A new commission from Count Jannings. And we hope and pray that 7 knock will be enough. Ah, good. The serpent's sorrow. It lowers its great head. Moisture seeps from its lidless eyes. Is it weeping? What does it remember of its eldest sister, whose power we call upon? Yes, indeed, the Frankiglaive, the 12 aspect knock tool found on the Christabel, and I think also at Port Noon sometimes, if you're lucky, is something you can also use to gain access to the Peacock's door, and unlike the mirrors, it doesn't break. Because it is a key that opens all gates. More commission work. The expedition continues. Right, all that's left now is the curse. Which hopefully will leave us alone. The origins of ours. The sage and ecstatic Soham, a frequent visitor to the manses, claimed to have discoursed with a beach crow in person. Soham later insisted on a sky burial. Soham's writings veer from poetry to confession. He identifies gods from flesh, those who were mortal, from blood, those who arose from sacrifice, from light, entry from the glory, and from stone, those who arose before his knowledge. He insists that the moth was the first god who was blood, but later contradicts himself and claims it was the Red Grail. Well, I have been streaming for technically for a few years now, though. I took, or at least I suppose 2 years, though I took a year-long hiatus in pursuit of other things. But now I find myself with more time, and the current period is the period I have streamed for the most regularly in all my time as of yet. So, in the time a year ago, I think I would stream on average about once a week for a few months, but not much. So, even though the time I've been already doing this is technically not that short, in counting actual streams done, it's still pretty early on for me. Right, what to dream of? Another early night. Maybe we'll get that contentment after all. A call upon the Ringu, who is renewed. Almost certainly strong enough to secure against the curse. Almost certainly. Hopefully that's enough. And now, well, whoop, hand in this commission and work on another one right away. The curse shrivels, and I breathe a little easier, but not creepingly, luckily enough. More despair, guess. Oh, though we do also gain some contentment, so there's that. Alright, despair from our study of this. The mantis was different before the first god came from light, but never doubt it existed even then. Thigh-born thorax sweet, a vine-crowned moth king hatched in the thigh of the thunder king who's dead. Drink up his belly lymph, these are the sights you'll see. The Thunder King who's dead being, if I recall correctly, the wheel, which we have just painted upon our canvas. Right, so the contentment here to quell our dread. And now, let's translate 5 creations. The itinerant scholar 𝐼𝐸 debated 5 possible origins for humanity with a hooded figure since claimed to be the beach crow. 𝐼𝐸 later claimed that all these accounts had proven false, but the debate was, nevertheless, recorded. Alright, that'll reduce this to just 1. 𝐸𝐸, I recently looked at it. It's based on the Sanskrit word for speech, and I think also the maybe Hindu, I don't know. I think there's also a goddess of speech by that name in some religion, though that one may be an exclusive to Cultist Sim. But yeah, the name of the language at least is based on the Sanskrit word for speech. Or so the wiki claims. Oop. Wrong buttons. But never mind that. Let us fill this. And then work on this. A closed eye. The ship still stinks of the sea. A sluggish octopus crawls from our lamplight. The timbers are half coral. Where are the bodies of the crew? Only one survivor was recorded. Did the serpent devour the rest? Yeah, I mean, it is supposed to be older than humanity itself, so in a sense then it wouldn't really make sense if it was based on a human language. The carapace origin. We were born from shell, like the children of the wasp from the spider. The glorious origin. Our life motes descended from light. The origin befouled. We were found naked and smeared with muck in the roots of the wood. I suppose, or at least it wouldn't surprise me if, even though, despite what the book claims, not all of these accounts are false, but all of these accounts are true. One different creation of humanity for each history. But who knows? I suppose the beach crow can't be trusted that much. Let's dream of the peacock store again, because this should now give us a closed eye. We found the captain's cabin. The logbook is here, but its pages are a mass of salt-caked pulp. Someone has scratched a closed eye symbol on the desk where it was chained. Beneath the symbol is a hidden drawer in the desk, which we can wrench open to loot its treasures. Another writhing call. Lay your hand on these tattered folds and feel their warmth. Leave your hand upon it and it will explore the possibilities of embrace. From what I understand, each of the histories is a different past of the world. So it's kind of explained in this one. In the Manses, the hours strive one against another. As the struggles are resolved, they iron out the impossible, exalt the possible, tie the fraying braids of what has been into one golden ribbon of future. Everything is resolved. History becomes the past. There are, however, exceptions. So the way I understand it is that because reality is inherently paradoxical, especially when the gods are concerned, in Cultist Simulator, the world actually has 5 different versions of its past. So there are 5 different pasts of the world, 5 different ways the present was created. And those 5 pasts are the histories, even though all of them lead into the same present, more or less. Some things only happened in some of the histories, and in other histories different things happened. For example, for example, in the first history, Alexander the Great never conquered the Persian Empire. In another history, I think, what were some of the other details? There's certain wars which only, for example, happened in some of the histories, though others happened in all of the wars. In all of the histories, some wars. I think, like the Great War, so World War I, happened, if I'm not mistaken, in all of the histories. Someone is insistent. Right, but anyways, passing the peacock store. A tuning fork hum animates the key in my hand. The peacock's door groans in response. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. The Frangiclave. There we go. There are keys that open doors, then there are keys that destroy them. So yes, in a sense, the histories are like different myths, but in a sense all of them are also true, even if they contradict each other. And we also have some books. The Book of the White Cat in Phrygian and the Book of the Extinguished Heart in Mandaic. Right, so now we could... Actually, first let's sell some of our spintre. We need the... Yeah, it's basically... At least if I understand this correctly, they basically weave the histories into being. They basically decide which aspects to go into which history. Like the metaphor that's being used both in this text and I think a few of the others. The histories are braided like hair, and here the fraying braids of what has been into one golden ribbon of the future. The metaphor used with the histories over and over again is like different threads being woven into one coherent cloth. So the hours are basically the ones that do the weaving, that decide which thread goes where and how they all interlock to create the present and then the future. Right. No, you don't have a commission for me. We have 3 more unique locations, and after that... Yeah, I mean, it is very emblematic of Cultist Simulator, which I kind of like the fact that very explicitly it's kind of very explicitly shown to be impossible to fully comprehend for humans, the lore, because it just explicitly doesn't actually make sense, which would usually conventional wisdom would say that that's like a bad thing as far as world building goes, but it actually works really well to enforce the atmosphere and feeling of Cultist Simulator. It's an idea or like a method I've borrowed for some of my own writing when it comes to world building, especially when it comes to things like gods, creation myths, to have things that seem to be simultaneously true yet somehow paradoxical at the same time. The fact that, there's, in a magic world, usually common practice is that, the gods are real, but what if there's like different myths of different gods that seem to contradict each other, but there's evidence that all of them are in a way real? That's like the kind of possibilities I like to explore. Right, what to speak of? Right. We should probably, since we have until now forgotten to promote some of our believers, we should probably get on that. And let's also paint. We could do that, but... Oh, right, we have the commission here. Substantial, so we'll need this and some reason. More funds, and... let's set out the Key Hunter's Garret. Actually, no, for that one we'll have to wait a little bit. The Vanderschaaf collection. What awaits us here again? A cramped little museum in a provincial town, long closed to the public since an outbreak of peculiar rapture in the room where they keep the pressed flowers. Only the very curious would ever pay attention to the place, and its close warded storeroom of ill-omened treasures. Okay, so warded implies forge. The door to the painted chamber of the Vanderschaft collection is locked and warded. The building is said to be haunted by flowers. So, either the dead or curses. I guess we'll find out. Curses. Heart or winter? We have heart. 5 creations. Sohei's preferred theories are that we are children of apes who walked upright, although his tone here is satirical. Or that we consumed not only our parents, which is not the crime of the sky, but also our origins, so that we came from nowhere. Yeah, I mean, Vak does call us upright apes, so there's credence to that. Devouring mysteries. The Grail was the first god who was blood. The flower maker came from light. The beach crow was flesh. Hunger and greed and yearning are the matrix of appetite, and here is their secret doctrine. Use this formula in a rite with bitter black salts and a subtle rupture or similar sources of power to summon 𝐼𝐯𝐫𝐿 itself. Right. One more pinnacle lore to add to the collection. Now we need is Forge, Moth, Heart, and Winter. We have strangely few winter lore in general, which is not exactly ideal since we are a winter cult, but it's enough to get us by for now. Perfect frost. And let's actually go to an early night. That despair could become a problem. Speaking of which, you should also not read some of these books, because I think almost all of them contain the chance or the guarantee of dread. Instead, we could... I mean, painting gives us probably the best opportunity at contentment. Outside of course, opium, but I try to avoid that. We call upon the Forge of Days, who will end all nights. And let's also add another heart. Now you shed your blood, as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future, as the wolf was divided. You are not born, your service only ends in dissolution. Arise in silence. Enid sees what others do not. It is becoming difficult for her, but it is very useful. Okay, so speaking, handing in the commission, and I think once we've exhausted the unique expeditions, we'll actually have a little bit of a chat to Spencer Hobson here and see if we can't get him on a new career path, so to speak. New commission in Lantern. Right, will this give me contentment? No, but a fleeting reminiscence. Could be worse, I suppose. Also, what's our appetite doing? Not too much. Not yet, at least. Oh, and for once, Hobson has actually succeeded in creating some tentative evidence. Let's, take care of that, shall we? Yep. Ever reliable Armoth followers. Though in a private playthrough, I've been playing parallelly to this one. Sylvia had managed somehow to fail at destroying tentative evidence 4 times in a row and then die from 3 edge scars. Which is, I'm pretty sure, the worst luck I've gotten in this game yet. Which is saying something, but yeah, I think that was like, wow. And she was for I think at least 2, for all of those at least a disciple, and I think for the last 2, she was actually a skin twister, but somehow she still didn't manage it. Right, but we can paint, and Isabeth here only has 1 scar yet, so yeah, it was edge scar, knock scar, edge scar, edge scar. Not even a single winter scar. Alright, still no contentment. So I'm still not going to dream both of the Worm Museum and read some of these books, because both of those are easy sources of that. Well, speak of the devil. Well, not too bad. After all, she only has 1 scar so far. Oh, quite a few funds also. And, I mean, that notoriety does at least have 1 use. As a marketing stunt. Also, the curse seems to have been defeated amicably. Restlessness, which we can paint. Ah, finally. Alright, I think that gives us at least some security, so I'll start working on this here. Now I'm beginning to realize that even earlier when we left the study tile unused, we could have at least translated works. Yeah, but... Alright, so... Okay, a knock scar. That's good, so we don't have any scars of the same type yet. And I don't suppose there's any contentment here. Nope, but at least we can get rid of this restlessness. Alright, in the painted chamber, a book of pressed flowers emanating a peculiar scent, 3 elderly... what? Baedekers? A collection of butterflies painted black and white, and the real treasures, an oddity in a glass case, and a cloisonne. Cloisonne. Coffer of rare books. I suppose that's an archaic form of cloistered? I'm not entirely sure about that word, but... Ooh, that's quite a bit of stuff. Alright, so some jumble, which we'll sell. Rattling in the soul, which we'll hopefully use. A paradoxical curio, which will be a bit quite useful. Sometimes it is hard to be sure if an arrow slew the Empress Herodias or the Empress Eudokia. Sometimes it is possible that an Ormolu clock was stolen in the sack of Vienna, even as it rested safe in the vaults of Rome. Yeah, so this item also spells spells the nature of the secret histories out pretty explicitly, both in, you know, the fact that it is literally a paradoxical shape, and the fact that, you know, sometimes several things happened at once, even if they seem to be at odds with one another. The Magus von Brandt's authentic and unique account of the true tongue of the true Holy Land of the Highmost, written excitably and in some haste by a gentleman in the grip of a transcendentalist enthusiasm, but nevertheless a useful guide to Aramaic. Useful to some, but not to us, since we already speak that tongue for quite a while, on account of Dr. Ibn al-Adim. So, let's sell it. This oddity is probably worth something, but it's hard to be sure. But something is better than nothing. Ah, more dread. Wherever that came from, not quite sure. But at the same time, we have contentment from the season of... I'm not quite sure what it was called, actually. I don't know quite. Yeah, I mean, being single has its upsides, but actually being in a relationship in this game is even more advantageous. But for some reason, I just never bother with it. It would actually be quite useful because being single during one of those seasons gives you one contentment, but actually having a paramour has the chance to give you much more, both contentment and some rare other influences, like romantic memories, happy memories, which you can then use to generate much more contentment than just the single contentment you would get. But at the same time, being in a relationship also takes up some of your passion, reason, or health, I think. So, it's a give or take. The Gemineard, a fragile manuscript illuminated with twin shapes of sad and luminous beauty, and with all the phases of the moon. It might be as old as the 7th century, but the language, Fuchin, is much older. Coral decorates its cover, and its page edges are sharp enough to slash a throat. Oh. The Watchful Tantra in Sanskrit, and the Visant inscriptions in Phrygian. Okay, there we go. Alright, 2 despair now. So we probably shouldn't read this just now. Just yet, at least. And let's use this health right away to call another early night. We have this contentment, but I would prefer to get rid of this despair in its entirety. And we also have this jumble. Okay, no contentment from there. But once the auction's over, we can also go to the 𝐼𝐯𝐶 Club, so My minion has returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. Okay, so let's get some more commissions. Let's work on this commission. We should also take care not to let this become more restlessness. So, in that vein, let's turn Porter here into a disciple, which will be useful in any case once, should Sylvia or Elizabeth ever become too wounded to risk on evidence again, though both of them still only have single-digit wounds, or singular wounds of a type, rather. Let's send Neville and Enid, our Nock followers, on an expedition to the Key Hunters Garret. Vienna is one of those few cities which has the same name in every history, although adepts know it as the White City, or perhaps the City of the White. In a snowy street, in a crooked house, in a high and rattling attic, we have learned that an eccentric hunter of imaginary keys has established a tiny trove of odd books. Once in Vienna, we hear that the key hunter has not been seen for many days. A local drunk insists that a great serpent entered the house to devour them. Certainly the house is unlit and boarded up, and there is a reptile house smell. Interesting. I mean, I wonder how a serpent got into Vienna to begin with, but anyways. Fun fact, for the, I think it was, yeah, the Apostle New Game Plus for a Forge victory, you at the very end need to enact the ritual in a place which has the same name in every history. And I thought for sure that it was Vienna, but that one didn't work, and I was stumped. But turns out there's another place that you can explore which has the same name in every history, though the game isn't as explicit about that fact as it is with Vienna. Anyways, I think I ultimately had to consult the wiki on that, but I'm not so sure anymore. Right, this is written in Fuchin, so we can translate it. We're not going to read it, I think, but translating it is going to make its power more useful. Would be cool if there were some other books that also functioned as tools, but I think the Geminiad is the only one. Oh, visions. Didn't even notice that fascination. Right. This expedition already has all it needs. Unless something goes wrong. Ah, okay, so I suppose that's where the fascination came from the early night. Oh. Now that is frustrating. The fleeting reminiscence having 0.1 seconds less time left as the trembling in the air. Well, that's Cultist Simulator. Yep, a classic. Porter, a disciple. Porter goes unnoticed until he's ready. Let's get more commissions. The Geminiad. A fragile manuscript, illuminated... Right, I've made notes towards the translation. Now I can study it. Oh, right, you first translate it, then you study it, and after you've studied it, you can still use it. These pages outline the nature and the doctrines of an hour that demands the union of what is at rest, an hour that is sought at the water's edge and beneath the moon, the witch and sister. The language is naughty, poetic, willful. It'll take some untangling. A commission from Bichette? A commission from Count Jannings. Oh, right, and we can also, no reason to not, get back to the Peacock store. I think now we could start speaking to Spencer Hobson here. Perhaps we could parley, or perhaps I could send something to ambush them. Oh no need. I have all I need here. Share a terrible mystery of the glorious lore. This is the secret doctrine of the door and the eye. Open your ears. This is likely to tempt the hunter from their path, but will always increase our own fascination. Oh, wait, in that case, let's instead... I think we can also use, edge. Never mind. Okay, so... yeah. I mean, it will give us another piece of fascination, but at the same time, once this has... yeah, actually, once this has abated, then it'll create a fleeting reminiscence, and the visions will also pass. So, no need to worry, really. The serpent's sorrow. It lowers its great head, moisture seeps from its lidless eyes. Is it weeping? What does it remember of its eldest sister, whose power we call upon? Right, so now, commission work. Wait, no, this is very substantial, so it'll take some more than that. Somehow, I don't know how, but somehow the passion and the skill have switched places. This is actually one of my biggest pet peeves about this game, that the skill cards don't want to stay in their damn place. I know there's a mod to fix that, I should probably get on that, but I don't actually know, because for most games, the standard is that enabling mods disables achievements. Is that also the case for Cultist Simulator? I would imagine yes, because, you know, having mods kind of... Really? Then I should probably get on that. I should... Actually, what I should really do is just look it up, because that shouldn't be too hard. So, yeah, I was going to say make a mental note of that, but what's better than a mental note? A literal note. The whiteboard is right here, next to my little eye. Do mods disable achievements? Question mark. Alright, that's something to look up right after the... Alright, yeah, then probably... Yeah, I should probably then invest in some 6th histories. Because I do know there's a mod that adds special, you know, more of these kinds of thingies, I don't even know what to call these, for specific card types to sort where which types of cards go once they've generated. The world as it is. Mirrors are calm. Shelves, exactly, yeah. The sun is steady. The glory recedes. I am sane, if that means anything. Visions of glory. Yes, I could be something finer, but what we are is less important than what we do. The world is where we live, and I will defend it till I die. You can keep your visions. Huh. Spencer Hobson has resisted our attempts, so now he's grim. Grim hunters cannot be swayed by the allure of the glory, but their own despair may destroy them. Well, then high time, I think, to study this thing here, the Book of the Extinguished Heart, which I think will give us enough winter to try another time, try again right away to drive him insane once more. The Geminiad reminds us that the witch and sister has been known to manifest as the sister and witch, and that this face may heal while the other face is always hungry. It implies connections between the witch and sister and the hours of the wood, especially the secret keeper called the Velvet, but it is ambiguous on whether the witch and sister is a wood hour proper. Yeah, actually, if I recall, in a previous stream not too long ago, we've actually had this very discussion, because in another book, the witch and sister is listed as one of the wood hours, which I was surprised by. So now this book confirms that it is indeed a bit of a spot of contention. And it speaks at length about the sadness of the two who are one, the sadness that remains from their time as flesh. Rite of the crow's quenching, very useful. This rite calls upon on the beach crow at sunrise or moonrise. The crow accepts the sacrifice and returns the gifts of the earth. The Geminiad read, a fragile manuscript, illuminated, right. I've learned everything I can from this, but the book itself still has power. Moldy rap admonitions, a theatric invocation, and a Geminiad invocation. A very generous offering, indeed. And let's, yeah, quell this fascination before it becomes a problem. Although, I guess I could have kept it around to then get rid of the dread this will no doubt generate. In the days of the Shadowless Kings, 𝐼𝐸 was executed for prophesizing the division of the sun. If any of his captors grew long, they probably feel rather abashed now. Right, because spoiler alert, the sun was indeed divided. 𝐼𝐸 indicates that the sun will be divided in the Maliary by the Forge of Days, armed with the love in her heart. Where did the Forge of Days actually come from? I'm not sure. I think a god from light, but could also be blood, maybe even flesh, but I don't think so. Nope. Like so, yes. Right, the beach crow who sees what is lost. We bear a great power of opening. We'll almost certainly find this hidden door. A way through a hidden door, yes. Oh sure, yeah. I would be interested in that. Though, probably I'm going to, if I do mod this game, I mean, for this playthrough, we're already, I think, I mean, it's not sure, but pretty near the end, but even in the future, I'll probably keep my mod list pretty light, but you never know. Alright, treasures lie before us. Book of the Extinguished Heart. Love will not be the cause of the sun's death, but rather envy. Envy will not be the cause of the sun's death, but rather thirst. Thirst shall not be the cause of his death, but curiosity. Curiosity shall not be his end, rather will it be love. Tick perfect skip, shelves, smart lore shelf, more shelves, longer cart animations, more cart animations, Ouroboros. let me just copy that message in its entirety and add it to my notes. Right, alright, so it's, not a pinnacle lore, but it's pretty close. When the sun in splendor was divided, its names fractured too. Here are the shards of their names, which once were whole. Interesting. So, the sun in splendor had names, and they were also fractured. I wonder if that killed them, or if it also split them into several parts. So now they're names of the Meniscate, Sun in Rags, and others. Who knows? I mean, once you are a name, you kind of... I mean, I think 𝐼𝐸 𝐾𝐨𝐶 is still a name, and she still retains much of her humanity, but other names, not so much. Yeah, I mean, the Sun in Splendor became... I mean, it depends on how you want to name it, but like, the fragments of the Sun in Splendor became the Sun in Rags, the Sun, the Meniscate, the Madrugad, and a final one who I forget. The Flower Maker, maybe? Let's see. I think... yeah, the Meniscate, the Madrugad, the Flower Maker, and the Forge of Days are the gods from light. I think that means that they're the offspring of the Sun in Splendor. I know at least the Meniscate, the Madrugad, and the... wait, no. The Meniscate, the Madrugad, and the Sun in Rags are born from the Sun in Splendor, but not the Forge of Days, since the Forge of Days was the one that shattered the Sun in Splendor. So, yeah, these are gods from light, meaning they came from the glory, unlike the Watchmen. But I think some of those are also descended from the Sun in Splendor. But that does make me wonder what origin the Sun in Rags has if it's not a god from light. Also, what do we do now? We could try to drive... what's his name? Insane with just the divisions of the names, but I think it's a safer bet if we do it with the full 14th Order Winter Lore. But getting that one isn't going to be too easy now. But at the same time, it couldn't hurt keeping him around a little while longer, since he is the least reliable of the investigators. In any case, wait, this is wrong. This belongs here. Let's work on some more commissions. And I think... oh yeah, and also re-enter the Peacock store. Ashes above. The room stinks of serpent musk and burnt paper. Someone has comprehensively destroyed all the records they could find. They've even scrubbed the walls clean. Cold ashes choke the fireplace. No trace of the poor soul who rented this place remains. I mean, the easiest way is to just kill hunters as soon as they appear, which, you know, obviously keeps them from doing much work in the way of creating evidence. You can, if you speak the right lore to them, like the Illuminate Mysteries or the Wolf Word, which is the highest order winter influence, sway them from their path, at which point they'll become rivals. Obviously, rivals bring their own troubles with them, and you'll oftentimes have to deal with them as rivals and whoever comes to replace them as hunters, but rivals can be recruited. So each of the hunters can actually be recruited as a follower, and they're very powerful. If you recruit them as longs in the making, they have 10 of at least one aspect and 7 in another one. I don't know all of them, but for example, Connie Lee is a conqueress, aspect 10 heart and 7 grail, which is pretty insane for a mortal follower. And I think, yeah, actually, Spencer Hobson, I think, becomes a herald, which is, what was it? 10 knock, 7 moth. And, you know, the obvious benefit of this is that you can get them. This is basically a way to get exalted followers regardless of what your dedication is. But it's pretty expensive to recruit rivals. Right, what we have here, on the matters and deeds of serpents, the ciphered journal of Alessandro Lacroche, which is just the Fuchin lexicon, and the irreproachable traditions, which only has 1 value, so we should probably translate it right away. Serenity of the Black Wood in Greek. And yeah, the other texts are all quite valuable. Yeah, you have to invoke, what was it, 21st order aspect of whatever your cult is dedicated to, and you need to gift them a tool. So essentially what you need to do is you need to have a tool of aspect 8 at least in your chosen dedication of your cult, and you need the highest order lore of that aspect. Which, you know, also means you need quite a few tools if you want to recruit several hunters, or rivals rather. Which is why I would like to explore some more in the continent, because... No, wait, the 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿 manacles, you can get those actually from the Forsaken Reach of all places, which is pretty easy to explore, of course. But at the same time, you can only have one 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿 manacle at once. So you'll need to use the first one, and then you can search the Forsaken Reach for more of them. But you can't have multiple at once. But all that is to say, I think we'll hunt for treasures in the Rending Mountains. The Rending Mountains, it has been said, tear the flesh of history. It has generally only been said by people like Christopher Illopoli, but still, they are a good region to find the places that daylight history does not recognize. The dream of the conspiracy of the lower skies, the disgraced oracle Damayon Azinaten, sifts through the tall tales of Penelope of Gordion, the work of the court poet 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿. 𝐼𝐸𝐿 was mentioned in another book. I think they wrote another book. Oh yeah, right. Wasn't 𝐼𝐸𝐿 the one sacrificed at the spider door by Kanishk? I'm not sure anymore. And the forbidden fragments of the work of the Arab adept 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿, identifying common themes. I have honestly no idea what any of that means. Maybe reading it will give us more clarity. Damayon insists that the hours, far more than mortals, are subject to their passions, to hatred, and even to love. The seasons of famine and plenty, the turns of the earth, the transformations of the furnace, all these are only the results of the enactment of the lesser passions of the hours. Yeah, so this will no doubt then give us GHOUL, if that's the subject matter. And let's paint some more. I mean, we have the notoriety necessary for that. Yeah, just perfect frost. Let's see. I'm not actually sure what all the locations in the Rending Mountains are. Oh, some tentative evidence. For once. Let's send Porter, since he's yet unwounded. Ah, the Mausoleum of Wolves. I think that gives us some pretty decent winter studies. This chilly monument was built long before Rome fell. Strong wolves watch the door. A chamber within was carved from rock to await fragments of the sun at its prophesied funeral procession. That procession never came, but still the dead are drawn here. Now, if only we had more winter followers. So let's instead, I think, go to Guerre Inn. On a crumbling cliff above a grey sea, the Guerre Inn squats until the day the sea comes for it. It receives few guests. Fewer since the owner closed his notorious library to visiting scholars. We can reserve rooms at the inn easily enough, but we can expect the locals, if they divine our intentions, to turn nasty. And if the library is still there, it will be well hidden. So... actually, no, let's not first add Knock. Let's first add Elizabeth and Sylvia here to deceive the locals. Some contentment, nice. So now let's work on this commission. Nope. Slippery. Damayon suggests that the Hours have constrained their rivalry to avoid a war within the House of the Sun. He identifies the fear of the crime of the sky as the reason that Hours do not satisfy other passions. He speculates on the horrifying possibility of Hours turned Alucite. What then would they devour? Ugh. That's a bit ominous. But I thought the Hours themselves are the ones that created the crime of the sky to enact population control upon their names. But apparently that means they're also themselves subject to it. Yeah, but an hour turned Sukoyan would be pretty disastrous, I think. But we've gained an anthic elaboration. The flower maker cannot touch you. He cannot find you. He always has what you desire. Even an elaboration of the properties of his works can draw the attention of ours. This formula can be used to summon 𝐼𝐸𝐸 itself. Alright, we now have a full line of GHOUL lore, funnily enough. Book of the White Cat. Visant inscriptions. Yeah, let's study these. Everett Visant transcribed these Phrygian inscriptions from a cliff in Anatolia where he famously survived a lightning strike. He died 7 years later to the day. His bones, the legend has it, were hot to the touch. A vagabond's map. To explore a location in the Lowland Level Sands. Yeah, that's also very, very Forge coded. I think there's like a common through line of Thunder. I mean, Thunder itself, I guess, is obviously associated with the Thunder skin, but Lightning then is also often associated with the Forge of Days. Tampering with records. I await word. My minion has returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. Well, let's see what he transcribed. Long ago, the Sisterhood of the Knot recounted, the Forge loved the hour called the Sun in Splendor. The Red Grail long anticipated their union, and the Grail priestesses prophesied it. Right, yeah, the Forge of Days loved the Sun in Splendor, but ultimately it would divide. She would divide him. Oh, this one is from Dr. Ibn al-Adim, and this one is from the Count. Let's work on them. The wrong kind of attention. The Watcher's confusion. Right, I need to remember to add the knock followers now, or else it'll be hard to get through this door. The Vincent inscriptions. The remainder of the text consists of gloating remarks by the Grail priestesses of the shaping that will come, interpolated with warnings and laments from those of the sisterhood who serve the Ringyu, and especially the Horned Axe. Nevertheless, an invocation to the Forge is included as part of an attempt to urge it onwards. Huh, so did they foresee the intercalate? It's not entirely clear. The Book of the White Cat. Stories brought to Penelope of Goridon by a blind white cat. I wonder if that's Moldy Warp. Since Moldy Warp was described as a cat thing in Moldy Warp at the... No, wait, that was Kittling Ripe. Kittling Ripe was the cat thing at the Moldy Warp's grave. Right. Well then, don't let me keep you, and yes, I will try to add more aspects to this canvas. the taste be ripe and strange. Speaking of taste, my hunger is once more swelling. Passing the peacock store, the translation of the white cat. Another unresolved ambiguity. Put it with the others. Also wasting no more time and getting right back in there. Now let's see here. What is this blind white cat? The aviform owls, the crow, the laughing thrush, the dove, and the twin kites. Twin kites? I suppose those are the sister and witch, and the witch and sister, have been known to meet in the mountains north of Gordion at a place called the Roost to exchange gossip. Penelope indicates that mortals who hear their words directly are obliterated, but claims that her cat goes unnoticed and returns to her with rumors from the hour's meetings. Interesting. I think one of the other books that was Secret Histories also mentions this fact. And basically starts in the exact same way of their words directly are obliterated, but then the text goes, and the meeting place is changed. So this is basically an elaboration on that. Oh, also, there are little cat paw prints on the book, I just noticed. That's cute. More dread. So, let's paint. A painting a day keeps the dread away. Oh, and I forgot to add a need to the expedition, but it worked out anyways. Yes, we've already made it past the peacock store. We've also obtained the frangiclave. That word is a battle in and of itself to go through the peacock door as we please. And we're in the process of painting a pale canvas. 5 aspects have been added. An unknown number remain. I don't quite know, but I don't think that many dead hours are still... I mean, I think we're still missing one of the gods from stone. The egg. But beyond that, I don't know how many dead hours we still have to commemorate upon the pale canvas. Ah, yes, this is the GHOUL DLC, in which we step into the service of the elegiest, with the dedication of remembrance. I've also, on my own time, played some of a bit of Priest DLC, which deals more with knock. And I think the Mother of Ants. The White Library. Right, dread at the Worm Museum. I dreamt last night of the Worm Museum. The hours have set wards about it and warnings before it, but they have left it open to mortal adepts who can prove themselves by reaching it. Perhaps they hope to inspire revulsion against the things that breed in the corpse of the sun. Those things that are here still, always dying, never dead. They came from nowhere, the warnings say, and if they complete their work, the Mansus will be nowhere one day. Yeah, the worms are a... Oh god, okay, that's 3 dread, so guess what, it is opium time. And I'm also almost out of funds. Well, I have not been paying attention, it seems. The Book of the White Cat. The stories that Penelope claims as our gossip are fragmentary and confusing. Accounts of contests where hope and dread and the Shadowless Empire are used as game pieces, agendas of ruin and remembrance from no known history. The most interesting element is the protective incantation she records at the end of the book, after she worries that the hours might in fact learn of her spying. Velvet Charm. The velvet always answers no, but we can shelter in that no like beasts in the crook of a tree. Yes, the sun in splendor. One of the aspects we've already painted. The colors that were auroral rose vies with electric blue. There's neither night nor morning, but only the hours of noon, anticipated and lingering noon. We each of us open our hearts to the golden needle of the sky, all colors magnified beneath the sun in splendor. But no longer. Right, I hope this gives us some contentment. Ah, yes, okay. 2 contentment, in fact. Very nice. So, okay, disaster averted. And the White Library. The room is bleached and quiet. The chairs are pale wood. The table is topped with white marble. A low draught blows through the ill-fitting sea-facing casement. In winter, it must be insupportably cold. A white painted glass case holds a shelf of books, wrapped oddly in coils of copper wire. Oh, sunless, what was it? Sunless Seas, you mean? That game I have yet to play, but I'm very interested in it since, you know, it's also with the writing of AK, who, you know, wrote this back when he still worked at, what was it? Fail Better, yes. So I have those, I think not in my Steam library, but they were free on, what was it, Epic Games quite a while ago, so I snatched them up there. Though I have yet to play them, but I've heard quite a few good things about them. Okay, so we have the Shavenlock Tantra, also known as the one who has shaven his hair. This, the story goes, is the lore that even the shape-changing Vanaras rejected. And, the Concursum Diaries, the diaries of the explorer and murderer Lars Westergren. He's unhelpfully translated them into Phrygian for privacy. Those Who Do Not Sleep, a Fuchin text attributed to the mystic Brodnax. This goes here, a Latin tome, and on Matthias and the Amethyst Imago, Loss. I could have sworn we've already gotten some of these books, but I suppose it's possible to get them multiple times if the first copy has already been destroyed via reading it. So now, let's actually... I think what we want to do is exalt Auclair here. Alright, she's also only a believer, not a disciple. Although I guess if we want... What was it? Yeah, if we want winter, we can also just as easily call upon a maid in the mirror. Summon a servant of the sun in rags. A deep winter's cold to name and draw the maid in the mirror. Edge to match her green cruelty. Yeah, usually my, go-to method is, accruing a large cushion of funds, at the beginning of the playthrough by working at the board seat, and then burning through it for the rest of the playthrough. But I've actually run out of that cushion a while ago, so it may actually be time to return to the board. Or, you know, what I'm doing right now in the meanwhile is just selling some silver spintrier, since, I mean, I have quite a few of those, and now that I have the 𝐼𝐯𝐫𝐿, I'm not really going to need them much more anymore. But, of course, selling them does occupy the Explore tile, which I want to use for expeditions. Also, where does this go? To the land beyond the forest, which is... no, this is the continent. This is the land beyond the forest. So, here we place the Fox Lily Meadows. Here we place the Mausoleum of Wolves. Yes, the Rending Mountains. Yeah, yeah, I'm a chronic hoarder of consumable materials. I suppose I could sell some of these because there's no way I'm using all of these, but I don't know. I just something within me has beach crow energy and hates to part ways with stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, even the tools, or at least most of the tools, are technically, I mean, they are unique in the sense that they can only exist once at a time, but almost all of them, with the exception of the paintings, you can accrue an endless number of times because they're possible loot drops from the repeat expeditions. But, you know, getting them guaranteed is only once. Alright, is Spencer going to be successful this time, I wonder? Yeah, yeah, the Carcass Spark, I think, and the Forge Victory, I think, was one of the most interesting ones, since you literally build like the Dawnbreaker core there. Alright, so Claire is now a disciple. That's not quite enough, is it? What we want is... where are you? Claire as... an exalted follower. Only a rare few, those most suited to service in our mysteries, may achieve this rank. Okay, and we're back to 2 Dread, so let's paint. That should... bring us some happiness, hopefully. Yeah, exactly. And especially the tools are very useful for recruiting rivals. The river, wrote the sage Mek in the Book of the Centipede, runs through the sands out of myth and into legend. This is the place the centipede was born, they say. The sands of which Mek wrote hide in perilous curiosities. Lone and Level Sands. I wonder... I think the Lone and Level Sands are the Gobi Desert, but I'm not quite sure. Either that or it's the Sahara. Both, I suppose, are possible. But let's see. Messana. A quietly prosperous village rests in the crook of the river, a surprising splash of green against the dusty land behind. The longevity of the villagers surpasses the natural. What are they hiding? Yeah, I've also only engaged with the rival system on subsequent playthroughs. It is one of those systems in this game that's like very elaborate, which is a shame because most of the time you're never going to deal with it. But the main way I engage with the rival system is that you can basically tempt hunters from abandoning their post and becoming rivals, and from there you can then recruit them, which is very useful. And I guess in theory you can also get your own followers to be mad at you enough to become rivals, and then let them go off on their own for a while, and then when they're longs in the making, you can recruit them back as exalted followers, even though you wouldn't be able to exalt them. But, I mean, that's a lot of work for not that much reward, so I don't think that's really worth doing. But, yeah, recruiting hunters is pretty useful. Did the sun ever come here when its death was pronounced? Perhaps that pronouncement was premature. In any case, if we usurp its progress, we'll have to face avalanches, furious ghosts, and a door sealed by adept architects. Let's be ready. So yes, winter and knock. Yeah, I mean, I know that resentment can build up if they're brought before a court hearing, and I think sometimes if they're wounded, but honestly I don't even know how to build up resentment, so that's also one of those mechanics that's like very interesting, but implemented in a way that it's almost never going to become relevant. Let's see. What to study? What to study? The Concursum Diaries? That's tempting. On the Matters and Deeds of Serpents, why not? This was probably the Prophecies of the Naga rendered into English and illustrated by William Midnight in Paris in the 1880s, but it shows a number of divergencies from that text. It's certainly quite recent by the standard of VAC texts. Yeah, I mean, the main benefit of killing a hunter is, you know, not having a hunter until the next one rolls around. Though, if your follower is strong enough, they can also imprison them, which can be beneficial because, obviously, some things require prisoners, like the Spider's Door and some of the standard victories. Oh! Achievement, because this is, I think, the first time I've recruited a silence. A gaunt woman who is silent. The air is frosty, the candles gutter, the street sounds are hushed. Someone is here. Alright, yeah, so as I suspected, we have a locked door, mountains, dead. So let's add a need and one more funds and we should be good. Let's also get some more commissions. But I think once this expedition is complete, we're going to call it for this night. But I may be able to return tomorrow. Ah, tentative evidence. We have plenty of moth followers though, so no need to worry. The peacock door unsealed. Size in the manses is negotiable, and so last night in the worm museum I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, caged next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In dreams they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. The walls bear stories of the First and Second Worm Wars. The third is too recent to have passed into the histories. I mean, my theory is that the Third Worm War, if it's very recent, and considering when the game takes place, my guess is that the Third Worm War was probably the Great War, World War I. But, I don't know if there's any evidence for that assumption. Alright, maybe this will give us mysteries of opening, which isn't going to be very useful since we already have one, but maybe it'll also give us, just in general, some high-level Nock lore. The serpent folk called the Great Hooded Princes came to know the order called the House of Leith, and warred across the miles with them. They made an alliance with the Mother of Ants, whose children they had been. Yeah, I mean, if they're serpent folk, that makes sense. And through the high passes, nice. Let's either paint or work on a commission. Let's paint. Getting some more contentment seems optimal. Even though this despair now abates. Clouds part. Very nice. Oh, my minion has returned. Stumbling, mumbling, clumsily bandaged. They were caught in the coils of their own trap. But luckily this is the first wound Porter has sustained, so... The text describes that the Great Hooded Princes escaped, or will escape, from the Fifth History, where they had died, or were doomed to die. They engaged in a secret conquest of the land of the Great River, called India in some histories, and have ensured that all other conquests of that land are false conquests. Huh. I wonder... So they had some kind of control over the secret histories. I wonder if that's linked to Nock lore, or if that's just incidental. Right, which of these... I'm pretty sure this is a pretty notable text, so let's... No, wait, this I think we got from... this we got from the Great Inn, so it's probably not that valuable. No matter. Let's work now on this commission. We call upon the ivory dove, who knows the names of all the dead. Back in the War Museum. Dread. Oh well. The dead circle the edge of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. They must recognize that. The beginning of an ending. The wound is healed, but this one came very close to death. Silence has touched them like snow. Alright then, Porter, let's try this again. The wrath of the dead. The dead are more like wind than flesh, but it does not do to underestimate the wind. Just now they are a terror-fanged hurricane and of pale shadow. Fall back! Fall back! Alright, so despite having 10 edge and 10 winter, we were unlucky this time. Well, that chance is always there. The mystic Brodnax discovers the origins of the Sister and Witch and of the Thunderskin. The Sister and Witch were born in 2 wombs, one poor, one rich, across the sea. The sister was strong in the aspect of heart, and so their survival was assured. The witch was stronger in the aspect of grail, and so they were not satisfied. From some other texts we've read, it seems the sister was born rich, a princess actually, so the witch then was born poor. But when they were sent to be sacrificed, together they fled across the sea, only to, in despair, try to drown themselves in the ocean, but somehow in the ocean finding the painted river of the Vagabond, an entrance to the Mansus. Another commission or painting. There's quite a bit of dread building up, so let's paint. Logistical difficulties, right. Because... oh, luckily no one got wounded, however. So there's at least that. Oh, come on, Porter. When the Sister and Witch came from the west, the Red Grail permitted their ascension, but then grew jealous of their power. It lured a great musician into the ranks of its names, and caused him to be reborn from blood as a heart hour, so that the Grail might maintain dominion there also, but its victory is not assured. Yeah. The great musician who was in love with the Sister and Witch, and then was flayed and became the Thunderskin. If I'm understanding it correctly, that is. Alright, we may soon be dealing with some damning evidence, so let's keep that notoriety locked away until then, to make sure that doesn't happen. We also have to keep close watch on our graveyard mouth, because if this ever reaches 7, that wouldn't be great. So, yeah, as soon as this is over, we'll need to slake our appetites. One bit of dread, get rid of that. Alright. 5 aspected graveyard mouth. We're very hungry indeed. Alright, he has 2 winter scars now, so let's send instead 𝐰𝐶𝐫𝐵𝐻 here. Third time's the charm, I guess. Though I distinctly recall very recently in a private playthrough, I sent Sylvia, who was already a disciple at the time, 4 times to destroy a single evidence. She accrued an edge scar, a winter scar, and then 2 more edge scars, and then promptly died. The evidence was never destroyed. So, sometimes luck is definitely not on our side, but let's hope this time will be different. On Matthias and the Amethyst Imago, Loss, an account of an occult romance. A certain Para, son of Aaron, claims to have written this in a single day and a single night as part of his initiation into the Damascene branch of the House of Leith. That tight disciplined order of immortals who reject the past, their past and future. Yeah, that's actually not too bad of an idea, though sadly there's not a level 10 moth spirit, which is unfortunate. Also interesting, because I think Aaron is the one who wrote the previous entry of Matthias and Amethyst, of Matthias and the Amethyst Imago, so now their son is the one who writes the sequel. The laws of the house forbade Matthias to love, the customs of the wood forbade the Imago to remain, so he conjured her a final time when she had uncovered the shears of Alakapura, and she suffered him to cut the wings from her back, so that she might remain, and he suffered her to cut the parts which hold man's seed, to keep them from the detestable act, the crime of the sky. This was love in all its blood and joy. We have cast out Matthias from the house. The purpose of doors. Doors have 2 purposes, to open and to remain closed. Today this door remains true to its second purpose. Frustrating, but at least the door doesn't have a chance of wounding us. Yeah, Knock Cult is pretty useful because of that. Though my favorite is probably Moth Cult, simply because skin twisters are some of the only ways to gain 10th order moth followers, since there's no summonings of that strength. Right, the artist's reward. Seriously? Seriously. Okay. Okay. Cool. I guess this evidence is invincible, perhaps? Alright, so now we'll paint with 3 notoriety. Logistical difficulties, we're also running very low on funds now. Great. And a bit concerning. The right of the map's edge was given to us by the vagabond. It is the right that Matthias used to summon the Amethyst Imago, but like many summoning rites, it could be used to conjure almost any entity, given the appropriate tool and the appropriate influence. Use it gently, in the memory of the name and the long who suffered these agonies, that they might be joined. Alright, painting once again with 3 notoriety. I mean, if the worst comes to pass, we can suck up another bit of notoriety with this. But hopefully... Alright, Sylvia still has no 2 scars of the same type. Please, please, please just finally get rid of this tentative evidence. It can't be that hard. Alright, death of the door. That's at least something. The colors of night. But we literally don't have any funds to put there. Day's work. So, what can we read? This, sure. Competent work. A meager bit of funds. But, I mean, we're not really trying to create masterpieces here, just kind of, keep this notoriety out of, Spencer's hand here. Come on, Sylvia. The coming of the wolf, the whispering of the dead is quiet, but another sound echoes in the mausoleum, a faint descending howl like metal tearing in the hull of a ship, dropping in pitch until it churns our bones. It could almost be the wind, but it is not. We should not stay long here. Sweet relief. Our minion has returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. Never have I heard sweeter words. Alright, and since this expedition is also coming to a close, the chill in the air deepens until our skin crisps with ice. At the core of the mausoleum is a white marble bowl upon a granite plinth. It is filled with snow whose touch burns the skin, and buried in it, items of note. Were they concealed here, or were they offerings? Nothing beside remains. As the sun his course, wolf's snow, the Welshhorn inscriptions, and a second glory. Yeah, I mean, on some level I agree, but on the other hand, you know, it does free up the work tile, but it does then occupy the other tiles, and especially the explore tile, I'm almost always using for, expeditions, and especially in this playthrough, oh, dear lord, I'm just realizing, yeah, we need to desperately, now explore, slake our hunger, or yeah, we're going to succumb to the spores. Graveyard mouth. Now that I have tasted the graveyard fruit, the hunger comes often to trouble me. My mouth waters at the fragrances of decay, and my belly growls like a dog. Reduce this by feeding on remnants. Do not ever permit it to reach 7. The game may end, and not pleasantly. So, yeah. Best to... Yeah, though in this case, after expeditions, the thing we're gonna use it for is, well, as a last thing, allow me to demonstrate. Search for promising cemeteries. prowl the streets, seeking places of burial which are close, but not too close, populous, but not too busy. And now we have... I found a promising burial ground, some mystique, and a cemetery, which will send our maiden mirror. Oh yeah, right, right, I always forget you can use cult business, with some of the followers to hoodwink or other stuff. Stealthy excavations by the soft light of a hooded lantern. And now let's... yes. The shovel strikes wood. That's a good sign. If the coffin is too far rotted, usually remains are scant. A human corpse, the spirit has departed. At some point the smell will be so bad we'll have to dispose of it, but here it is for now. It may attract attention, it may be used to impress the impressionable. And it may be used for the feast of the honeyed dove. I can consume remnants to preserve a little of their knowledge from dust. I may yet have to. Once again my appetite rises, flecked once again with shivers of revulsion. But I fear that we'll have to wait for another time. For now, I think it has gotten quite late, so I will have to end it for now. Maybe I will be able to continue this tomorrow, if not the day after that. Anyways, it has been my pleasure to be your host once again. I am seeing if there are any good people to raid. It doesn't seem like it, and thank you for being here. Any case, feel free to perform those well-trodden rites of appeasement to the strange and alien gods of the algorithm. And until next time, have a good night and safe travels.